credentials, and thank you for your patience, everyone. We will restart with item 13, the Reimagining Flood Resilience Project Update.
Councillor Rodley's on her like sixth cup of tea, so
Well, at least it's
we
not
can't
coffee.
rely on her
Coffee.
anymore for sensible.
Filling up the space.
Okay, hi team, how are we? Thank you, kia ora.
5-year-old.
Welcome back. We are running a little bit late, so if we could have a brief overview and then we'll open up for questions. Fantastic.
Kia ora, councillors. We'll keep it very brief. I think we'll take the paper as read and give one brief update, which is the numbers of sign-ups for our stakeholder reference groups.
That's fantastic. Yes.
So I think as of today, we have 67 people signed up, and we were targeting 65, so we've made the cut, I guess, in terms of numbers. We are a little bit light on Central Hawke's Bay still, so we're looking to focus there a little bit to get some more numbers there. We're a little bit light in terms of the number of women participants as well, and we could use a few more Māori participants as well. So there's three kind of targets for the last sort of week, I suppose.
Yeah, and younger.
And some younger people too. So
I'm coming.
Well, there you go.
there you go. That'll balance it out nicely.
You're woman, you're young, what do we say?
All the boxes. So a great result in terms of numbers. Just need to round out with a few more participants, which we're focusing that on as we speak. So is missing anything in terms of the stats there, Louise?
No, that pretty much covers it. 80% are over 45 so far.
Okay.
Otherwise, happy to go straight to questions. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe just the next phase of work for the project team, and then we'll go to questions. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So obviously the next phase is focused strongly on these two stakeholder reference groups. We're looking to have a first meeting with them in early November is the plan. So they'll be appointed early October, all set up, first meeting early November. A few meetings with them through to the end of the year, and then starting up again early next year. So really the big focus in the next 6 months is setting up and working closely with those two stakeholder reference groups. Alongside that, obviously the steering groups have been formed. They've had their first meeting, and they'll be meeting regularly alongside the reference groups as well. So very much 6 months focused intently on that engagement phase of the project.
And through you, Chair, there will also be some readjustment that we will have to do to the steering groups post the election. There are some councillors that will not be back already, and we'll have to just adjust from what the election brings. But we've already started talking about processes with the other TAs about how we can navigate that as quickly as possible to make sure that we don't slow down the project.
Thank you. Councillor Sears.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, just to speak a little bit to the first meeting of the steering group where we appointed Councillor Van Bate to the Hiratonga scheme and Councillor Hokianga to the Upper Tukituk, and it was an excellent meeting and lovely to have everybody around the table at governance level. As you all know, the TAG, all the staff and the TAG working group have been working for a number of months, so bringing in the governance group and getting them up to speed, and there was, I thought, you can reflect too, an excellent engagement and desire to get on with the work and understanding of what we were doing. So, yeah, it was really successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we totally echo what Councillor Sears said. It was a very informative meeting, hopefully, for the other councillors, and they are all engaged and all really interested in this project, which is great, and we had representation from all our partners at that meeting.
Councillor Rodley.
Thank you, Chair. And what's your, so you mentioned that there's some gaps in the equality across the groups. What's your plan to backfill that with different, what are missing, the women, the young people, the...
So at the moment we are, so obviously there's been adverts that have gone out and media releases and media ads. We're also reaching out to more targeted, so groups like the Tuki Tuki Land Care down in Central Hawke's Bay, we've reached out to them to share with their members to get more female participation. We are reaching out to places like play centres and schools and notifying them of this project and encouraging people to sign up.
So more direct, targeted encouragement rather than the broad scattergun kind of approach of the ads. So.
Cool. And just to follow up, please. So if we're already over the quantity that we need and we're still seeking further, have you got a process to get the right mix and
Yes,
discard some people who are no longer required?
So Tonkin and Taylor will lead that process, but what we've talked about is we want a broad diversity,
Yes.
and there's a kind of, how would you describe it, an AI program that can randomise. You put in what the criteria are that you're looking for, you put in all the details that you have, age, diversity, male, female, all that sort of stuff, and you can set the criteria for what you want, and the program can do that. But if we, for example, get 70, we'll take 70. It's not 65 is it,
Oh, okay.
but if we get 100, we can't do that.
Need to
So,
reduce, yep.
yeah.
Councillor Van Beek.
Yes, so on that note, who could you share that with who are already on, on the steering group, or the tag for that matter, so that we can have oversight, like I can look through and see if any, in my particular area, which was flooded, as you know, whether anyone there has put their hand up, and if they haven't, that maybe I shoulder tap someone. Is that possible?
It hasn't been our intent. We've tried to keep it not that we're sharing names and things so that there's no level of bias when we get to it. So it will be done without names. But I would say if you have anyone that you think should be involved, I'm happy to give you the copy of the email and the sign-up details that we've shared. You've got all that, yeah. That's...
Yeah, there's no harm being asked twice, right? So we're saying to people, if you know someone that you think would be good, please encourage them, because we want as many people as possible signed up. So if you know someone, it'd be great to encourage them to take that step.
It says CHB was short, so
CHB in
Foley?
particular, yeah.
Councillor Foley.
Included in that diversity, is it location as well? So people that are perhaps more focused on, the Waipawa Township versus downstream of Walker Road versus Toki-Tuk, Waipakaro. Is it that diversity as well that you're targeting?
We included if they were more urban or rural, and we included Waipawa and Waipakarau as more urban. So yes, we've asked those questions of where people live, what their business is, what their interest is, if they have any special interests. It was quite a big selection of questions.
Yeah, so we've got good stats on who's signed up, and I guess in terms of the final group, we have an idea of what an idealised group would be, good cross-sections of all those things you've just mentioned. We hope to achieve that, urban and rural. I think we'll see what we get, right, and then decide. There is an option if we just simply are missing something major, we could reopen for more call-ins, right? So I think the first step is to see how the pool looks. If we've got a really good group, we'll run with that. If there's some obvious gaps, we might look to address that through an extended period, but we'll see how we're tracking. For now, looking at the list in front of me, which I haven't got names, but I've got locations, most of those you've mentioned are pretty well covered. Lots of farming interests, some urban interests, lots of growers in the mix. There's a pretty good mix there already, actually.
Apart from age.
Apart from age, yes, and gender, yeah.
Okay. Councillor Foley, did you have a question?
Yeah, I might just chat offline about, just those, there's some specific areas that will potentially have conflicting views about what happens with things like Walker Road. So I think it's just important we get a good mix on. So I'm happy to chat with you about local knowledge around.
That'd be great, thank you. Yep.
Very good. If there are no further questions, can I please have someone to move to receive?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Yes, happy to.
Second.
And second. All those agree say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. We move on to the IRG work programme closeout. Thank you, John. Andrew and Tom. Kia ora, Tom.
Kia ora.
How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Very good. Very good. If we could please have a brief overview of the paper and we'll open up for questions.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to very rapidly pass over to Thomas, who's got, we're going to take the paper as read, and just obviously if there are any questions at the end of this, we'll take those. But otherwise, Thomas has just got a little bit of a run through pictorially of the work that we've done that we thought was a good way for you to see it all. But the first thing I'd like to do is just acknowledge the team who's taken this to the finish line, or almost the finish line. First and foremost, Thomas, and John's been donkey deep in it since the beginning as well, and many others. But I'd just like to call out Charlene, Lauren, Raj, Ellen and Zoe, who are in the back here, who have been project managers and project coordinators supporting it. Been through a lot of procurement processes, a lot of contract management, and also working with the designers where design input has been required as well. So look, a big thank you to them, and I'm sure I convey that on behalf of you all. And now I'll get Thomas to show you what fantastic work we've accomplished with this funding.
Kia ora. Ko Thomas Petru, toka ingoa. Yeah, we'll get right into it. So it's got lots of great pictures in it. But the IG work program in November 2020 as part of the government's COVID recovery infrastructure package, Regional Council was successful in securing $30 million co-funded for flood risk and climate resilience. That was split across 4 sort of what they call pillars or major programs. Might just move out of the way a little bit there. We had the Hiratonga Plains Flood Control Scheme, which is at the outset primarily targeting levels of service upgrades to our stop bank network. Wairoa River Scheme, which is a specific area which we'll show on the river parade. There was the scour and erosion site located there. We had the Upper Tukituki Flood Control Scheme, which was by the State Highway 50 bridge. And then as the final one there, the Upper Tukituki Flood Control Scheme, which is the gravel extraction program. And we're just going to run through at the outset here to give you an overview of some of the projects that have been completed through this entire program, which I think is quite important. We'll get into some detail about each one and the overall program as we go. So the Hiratonga Plains Flood Control Scheme, obviously one of the key first projects that was off the bat there that was delivered was the upgrade of the Taradale Stop Bank, which is a 2-kilometre stretch of the Tutakuri River. And at the time, this was pre-Cyclone Gabrielle, so that was upgraded to a 1 in 500 year level of service. You can see this is under construction, and it was definitely looking at the extended data face on the riverside there, going to a 1 to 4. It was a varied lift across that, but up to about a 400 mil lift.
Thomas, just before we move on from that, can you just point out where the breach occurred during the cyclone along that stretch? Is it further up past the bridge, was it?
I don't know.
Through Madam Chair, there was no breach to this section of Stop Bank. There was some erosion on the riverside toe downstream of the Waiheke Bridge, but where water did end up in Taradale came from water hitting the bridge and immediately upstream of the bridge abutment.
But doesn't the Stop Bank go past?
No, this Stop Bank terminates at the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was prior to the bridge that it came.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Potentially a factor in that was the large build-up of wood debris on the bridge as well, pushing water laterally and over the bridge abutment.
So this is the stop bank that was completed in November 22.
Correct. It was a good case study in risk management because we earthworked through winter. We were right on our limits for our specifications with regard to compaction and water content in our earthworks, but we pushed on and we probably saved 3 months. Do the calcs from there.
The old story, it's like the surgeon saying the operation was a complete success, but the patient died.
This is an amazing story, this one, that it was identified as being an area of significant exposure, and B, from what you've just said, that it was completed in the time frame, because had you not saved 3 months on this, 3 metres of water going through Taradale was...
And we reckon Cyclone Gabrielle actually started winter 22. It started raining and it never really stopped until February when we got the big and that's, we were so waterlogged. So for you guys to work during those conditions is quite something.
Yeah, there would be 2 or 3 days of rain a week. Then it required 2 or 3 days of drying, so we get 1 or 2 days of actual working time within a week. So it was challenging.
We'll just move on. This is obviously nearing completion, so you're looking at the regrass batter slope there. In comparison to other stop banks you would have seen, definitely up to the, current sort of standards that we're looking at, and that increased 4-to-1 face on the riverside, and the cycle track reinstated, which is great for the public as well. Natarawa was another stop bank upgrade that was completed. It's 2.5 kilometres on the Nararoto. Again, that was to the pre-Gabriel 1 in 500 level of service.
This one here, Natara.
Interestingly, when the cyclone hit, we had the first 200 metres of this stop bank exposed. So as per our contract, the contractor scrambled to reinforce that section, and we were successful enough to prohibit a breach. The whole riverside berm was underwater at that time, so it was active stop bank.
That was a gumboot from the top, wasn't it? At Cyclone Gabriel?
Pardon me?
This one was where we had a gumboot off the top.
A gumboot.
The water was that far
It's
below
an
the top.
official measure, yes.
It is.
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm surprised you're an engineer that you don't know that,
And this is Natarawa, obviously nearing completion now, going from the compacted surface to regrass stuff at high river seeding. Obviously, it's quite fitting looking at those in completion around Cyclone Gabriel, obviously the effects and the importance of Taradale being upgraded. Post-Cyclone Gabriel, the IAG program was put on hold. Obviously, as the region and the asset management engineering team had an immediate focus on the rapid rebuild across the region, which was for the better part of over a year. Through that time, John and Chris had discussions with Kano, the funders, around what would happen with this program, and looking obviously post that event, how could that program be repurposed to ensure good outputs for the funding attached to it, noting that the landscape had changed significantly, and we were not only pursuing rapid rebuild, but we had scheme reviews underway and the concept of reimagining the rivers and things like that. So it wasn't something we were going to launch straight into upgrades to a 1 in 500 pre-Gabriel level. So in May 2024, a variation was agreed that included a modified program of work, particularly focused on the Heretaunga Plains Flood Control Scheme, and extended the deadline to June 2025. A large portion of that work was then focused on what we'd term enabling works. So through the same process that identified Taradale and the Natarawa, there was a multi-criteria analysis across the whole stop bank network in the Heretaunga Plains based on level of service, crest heights, the socio-economic impacts, what areas it's protecting, population density, value of land and properties. And we then, come mid-next last year, went straight into going to market around completing design packages. So the work delivered within that was geotechnical investigations, prelim and detailed engineering designs and cultural impact assessments across what ended up being 9 locations and 30 kilometres of stop bank. So now we have those designs ready. So all this the groundwork is done and ready, and council's in a position now where, depending on what happens in the future and how we're engaged with central government, that we've got what we deem shovel-ready projects, that we have everything sitting there ready to go. We can lodge consent and construction, got schedules of quantity and construction costs as well. And just to give some context to that, that's a map showing the extents of design work that's been completed, along with the cultural impact assessments. That goes with it. So it's a pretty significant portion of the network. These designs are obviously working in closely with the engineers of John's team and with consideration of any outputs from the scheme reviews. Like they'll be adjusted.
There's actually, it can't overstate the importance of getting to this position. In my 30 years of infrastructure asset management, it's been very, very rare to have designs in the drawer ready to go. Shovel-ready programs don't really exist because infrastructure projects are generally always funded. So there's been a great opportunity to give us a bit of a head start when more funding becomes available.
A couple of these projects are actually going to construction through the NIWI program as well. So it's Oahu and Brookfield's lower.
So just explain that. So these areas where you've completed design for upgrades, and in some cases actually you're doing work such as
Brookfield's lower and Oahu will now roll into a delivery model with the NIWI program, but we had the design work already completed, so it means you're sort of on the front foot in that regard.
And they're all varying levels of service?
They'll all be, the design outputs are to get to the same level of service, so we looked at it still with like a couple of lenses, I suppose. We had an IAG sort of commitment in that and looking at that 1 in 500 pre-Gabrielle, and we also went through this process and modelling in the post-Gabrielle 1 in 100, which is aligning with our future level of service. So projects going to delivery are still aiming to meet what we've set as our new level of service.
Okay.
And one that was actually identified on that map, but is very much in construction, is the erosion protection at Clive River on Fundin Road. This was identified pre-cyclone.
Madam Chair.
Not sure if people are familiar with it. It's a funny area where you drive around, you probably would have noticed that there's a big dogleg in the river right at the edge of the road there. There's a 250 metre stretch on the Clive River bank. And you can see in the photos on the bottom of the screen there's like a very significant slumping and erosion of that bank, and the bank's actually very steep. It drops down at 10 to 12 metres and is undercutting underneath there. So it's posing, it was identified as posing a significant risk to the infrastructure, both the road and the rail network. And that was moved forward with going through some optioneering and design options. Landed on rock revetment being the sort of most effective long-term solution, because you have challenges in that area about actually access to do the work. Every time you want to do something, and then you've got to remove the stop bank above it, because you've got a really tight section of land right on the edge of the road where you're trying to actually do any construction. So we're sheet piling or rocks, but also working with the local marae at Ko Pātiki there in Operation Pātiki, like rocks were definitely identified as a more natural solution.
And Tom, just Councillor Sears has a question.
Sorry, can we go back one? I missed my question. Sorry about that. I just thought it was quite important to note that these pieces of work here are planned for and designed for, but of course the scheme review and the process we're going into with community now could bring about some quite different outcomes. I'd hate anyone online or looking later to think that these were set in stone. You kind of alluded to it in the paragraph, but these are some base places where work's been done, but are still really open to modification.
Yeah, there'd very much be considerations of a range of different outcomes ahead of just going ahead with upgrades to these areas, and a number of those things aren't determined yet. Those outcomes aren't known. It'd probably be a balancing act between all of them. But you're better off having the detail and information there and ready, even if it means that it's tying with other solutions that might come in.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, I guess we look at this as zero regrets work. So while the scheme reviews are yet to land, the work that we've done here is about our standard level of service at a 1% AEP or 1 in 100 year level of service. And it's still able to be modified should a scheme review suggest some rework on that, but it takes us a long way to establishing a consistent level of service across the scheme post-cyclone.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Rock revetment was the chosen solution for Clive River. And we're currently under construction or nearing completion down there. You might have seen some announcements through our social media and media releases. So it was 5,850 tonnes of high density weather-resistant andesite rock being used and placed, and we had to work within a very tight land parcel. And you can see on the bottom right there, that's a silt curtain that's placed in the water as part of our sort of environmental management for this, because you can't dewater a site when the water's that deep. So you're working from the top down with a long reach digger, which is actually quite technical given the confines of the space you're working with, to place the rock at the base and build it up. So it's surveyed before and after, with the key point of just slowing the force of the water in that area to prevent that erosion. And on the right there is all the rocks virtually placed now, and then we've just got to build the stop back up on top of it. And we've got follow-up pieces of work with Operation Partiki as well. We'll be looking at some monitoring.
Could I just add one thing there, is that to me one of the really impressive parts of this project was that Farnham Road was maintained as two-way thoroughfare the whole time. To me that is very practical traffic management. One, it didn't cost us a fortune, and two, it didn't inconvenience the public. So hats off to the contractor and whoever else, HDC I imagine, who approved that. I think to me that was a major advantage, because Farnham Road is a very busy road at the beginning and end of the day.
It's also helped us build and establish a really strong relationship with Operation Partiki and called Partiki Marae. In having what we'd say is our new, more recent approach to how we're going about mana whenua engagement in relation to our infrastructure projects and early engagement and cultural impact assessments. And we've had some really positive outcomes there, and I think it's helped with the delivery of this, but also helps put us in a good position about what they may look like for any future projects and establishing those relationships.
What was the total length of the project?
I think it was 250 metres. Yep. We're up to another piece of work that was done within this bigger Hiratonga Plains program, was cultural values assessments that have more recently been completed for the full extent of the Ngāti Awa and Tutaukuri Awa. This is to while we still move ahead on a project by project basis with cultural impact assessments in relation to specific projects, what those projects are, what the impacts could be, and mitigation. Cultural values assessments are sort of pulled together with a mana whenua-led framework for protection, restoration and governance, and to integrate mātauranga Māori in line with what our approach to, I suppose, is modern day infrastructure projects primarily, and give us a position at the outset to start looking at these documents when we're going through those processes, whether it be scheme reviews or trying to identify sites where we may have projects that we need to undertake, and getting at least an initial indication of what values there may already be there, whether there could be wahitapu, wahitonga, who we should be engaging with broadly, touch points. So we've got some consideration right at the outset. And they're viewed as live documents. So the more we use them, the more information should then be generated into them and become more valuable as we move forward.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to add this particular piece of the program. We recognised the need for this well before the cyclone hit. We were working with Councillor Hawke, Te Kaha and Katie Whitty right back at the start. We were engaging on our projects and looking to achieve resource consent, and this was a bit of a gap in the process back then. And it was always foreseen that having these completed would support not just the IRG program work, but a lot of other project work that would come along post IRG. So it's great to see this reaching fruition.
All right. And just following up from that, I think this has come up in the RPC recently, but I raised it. It's the status of those documents, the availability of them, because they're jam-packed full of information that people ought to know.
Yep.
And there's been, issues, I think, in the past about the just the lack of availability of that. I did raise the question about whether those were going to come in some way into the public domain. And I think at the moment that rests with the RPC and the question about individual groups presenting them to RPC. But it is an open question that these appear not to be public documents at the moment.
No, there's still actually a little bit of follow-up within that and talking to the publishers of these documents. They were quite big pieces of work to pull together. Obviously funded through this, but not something, these are not pieces of work that are in any way going to be led by Hawke's Bay Regional Council. It's just something that we support and obviously would get a lot of value out, but a lot of work in the background to them. So there's a little bit of follow-up there that I'm engaging with both publishers about coming in and actually presenting the sort of findings and information within those documents back to various members, across council. It touches on multiple different teams within council to get an understanding of that. So it's not just something that we received as a completed report, but we understand from the people, from Manawhina who have written it, what the detail of that is and how it can be applied by us as an organisation.
Tom, are they, through you, Chair, are they physical documents?
Well, we've got them as online documents, but they're
So how will they be living documents and able to be?
Oh, we've got both, so it's about a continuous engagement with the groups as well as
rather
we
than
go
just a
through
folio
that.
of information.
I think there would be probably an engagement with Te Kaha Māori partnerships. It'll be about as we start going through primarily probably the scheme reviews and various other things as projects become maybe more of a reality or particular locations, how that information can be grown and included. Okay. Oh, next piece of work. Got all kinds of different things in here, right? Is a borrow catalogue, which was, I think this came out as part of the sort of restructure of the funding in a need.
This was a brainchild that developed off the back of the Parallel project, where we had to go downstream to find more suitable material. We recognised that there were lots of geotechnical results from work done in our booms from past projects, either within Hawke's Bay Regional Council or third party, and we thought it would be really helpful to understand what that was telling us, both in terms of topsoil depths, because we always have a shortage of topsoil, but also material within the booms to inform future projects.
So yeah, this was pulled together primarily using our internal GIS team who developed the tool. We then brought on a summer student, so he's down the back there, to go through the NZ Geotech database, pull out all the existing records, load them in, so we have them there. Then we looked at where the gaps were and engaged geotech engineers to go out and test all the other areas. So then we have a living tool where we can understand as we get projects come to fruition, that we can look at where our material availability is, which we know with our future program is going to be. It's a pretty major thing to know how close your material is and impacts your budgets for delivery. And also, as we start using that material, this map changes and they're expended, and then we have the point in the future where we can start considering what the recharge rates are of different materials within those berms too.
Wetlands.
Alan's engineering geologist knowledge was a big help.
Yes,
give him the grip.
Yes, that's definitely not my. We'll rip through these pretty quick. We've got Wairā River Parade Scour Protection, which was the second sort of work program on a third. Sorry, that was 80 metres of embankment stabilised at the Wairā River by a ferry hotel there. Sheet piles, 12-metre sheet piles, with screw anchors drilled beneath them. And there was some upstream work on the riverbank as well with planting to further stabilise it. Shows there the sheet piles being rammed, and then the product. That was pre-cyclone. That was completed. Got State Highway 50. This was the large section upstream of the bridge. Obviously, you can see works group here installing the acmons. We had 75 acmons go in at about 8 tonnes an acmon, so they were poured by works group as well and delivered to site. So we're using multiple teams within council. It was immediately upstream of the bridge. We had a lot of other rope and rail go in and moving material and putting terraces in and willow planting. Control the flow a bit more and stabilise the banks. This probably gives a better view. You can see the bridge, you can see the acmons in there and On the other side, you can see where there's been shaping and the rope and rail that's been installed. Which is pretty good outcome.
Councillor Foley.
Yeah, just, but based on the post-cyclone state of that, are we kind of happy because it feels like it's still targeting that?
We've gone back in post-cyclone. Obviously, probably when this work was done, you couldn't really envisage an event like that ripping through there. So rope and rail and other work has been done to stabilise that further post-Gabriel, working with the Borsnops there. And there's still some consideration with the bridge themselves itself and NTTA about what that looks like. Gone back and done quite a significant program. Now to gravel extraction. This was a pretty large portion of the program, which was $8 million and targeting 800,000 cubic metres. This is just a current update of where we're at. Completed almost 5 tranches already. There's just one still going in 5. We're at 878,000 cubic metres already extracted. Tranche 6 is the last tranche and it's underway currently. I think it's about 225,000 extracted in tranche 6. There's also going to be a haul road along the gravel extraction by the Waitāwa Township there, and that haul roads to one facilitate the gravel extraction that we need to get out of there, but provide for it in the future because it's a little one. It's a focus area of the community to have gravel extraction by Waitāwa Township and the bridges there, but this provides for suitable access in the long term. So that's we're looking at installation of all the extraction by end of February next year because they're underway now, and we'll be sitting at about 1,162,000 cubes now over that area, which is well in excess of what our initial target was.
That's a good question on that.
Councillor Foley, you happy about that?
No, it could always be more.
Oh, okay,
Councillor
I'll
Foley,
go
yes.
first. Oh, I don't actually, it's hard to ask a question of that, but you've put up a lot of wins through your slide presentation. I'd have to argue that's the biggest one. But just a huge thank you to the whole team sitting up the front here and out the back because, yeah, like I got a graph of the kind of historical gravel that's come out since about 2010 from Andrew the other day, and yeah, the picture is just a huge good news story, kind of where we've come from and what we've achieved in the last few years, and it's just massive. It's obviously doesn't stop there because we know the gravel keeps coming down, but the achievement is just massive. So yeah, I can't thank everyone enough.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Harding.
Yeah, kia ora. Look, I just wanted to be reminded, there was $2.8 million of regional council co-funding went into that. When we say regional council, it's not, it's ratepayer money, presumably. Can just remind me how we apportion that amongst the community?
It was targeted.
It was, yeah, scheme funded out of the Apatuki scheme.
So essentially, the Tuki ratepayers paid that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
For sure. We've
Thank
just
you,
got a
Councillor.
few quick snaps.
Oh, yeah, Councillor Sears, yeah.
Sorry?
Kia ora, through you, Chair. Thank you. Of course, you know that, I'm obsessed about gravel extraction. Obviously, I talk about it all the time. So, yeah, this is a really big one for me. It might be outside this IRG program, but the point is that there's an enormous amount of gravel in this river, and we've taken out more than we planned, but it keeps coming, correct? And it's really expensive to take it out. So my question is, where to from here? Because are you just back where you started from? And the cost of this on the Central Hawke's Bay ratepayers going forward will be unaffordable from my calculation. So, yeah, I wonder what the next step in this is. Sorry to bring the mood down on that.
Well, I've got different. We've got views.
The IRG program of work targeted areas of the river where extraction was not economic for private party. So the whole purpose of it was to subsidise that cost, so they come in and extract from those areas where it was in an aggregated state to reduce those gravel levels. The reason they weren't doing it was that, you know, it just wasn't worth it for them. So it did require funding to do that. Part of one of our earlier tranches where we extracted around Walker Road, we stockpiled 350,000 cubes of gravel out of the active channel. And I believe the team are working on a paper to seek permission to sell that to fund future gravel extraction in Apatuki. It was always part of this strategy, just not so formalised.
I mean, there's always going to be a desire for more gravel to come out, but it is, I've learned a lot about it in the recent year and a half or 2 years, and it is a lot more complicated, gravel extraction, than what it probably seems on face value as to how the areas are determined in volumes and how you actually go about the extraction by, there's quite a lot of work that goes into it from different teams, but I know that desire will be.
Yeah, Councillor Rhodes.
Potentially the scheme review for the Apatuki may point to areas where we can target gravel.
Yes, scheme review. Thank you.
Is there any way I can just add a quick response to Councillor says there too? I think a lot of the cost is because there's not enough demand locally that matches the supply. So, you know, a lot of those funds have been subsidising transport out of the CHP district. The other point to make is going back to the historical work. So 2010 to 2018, the regional council extracted volume was 395,000 cubes. So a lot of this is, I believe, catch-up work. So hopefully we have caught up. And the other thing is, there's to date 878, but over that same period, or 2019 to now, the total volumes are just over 2 million. So there's also the normal extraction going on alongside this as well. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
I suppose you also have a viable model if opportunities arise through external parties or government. You know,
Yes.
you've got a track record and a viable model of pursuing.
That'll work. Yeah, thank you.
I just had a question around we're closing out the program, however this piece of work will continue till February 26. How does that kind of line up?
Yep, that's a good question. Part of how this has worked, like there's a couple of pieces of work in the budget breakdown on there that we've still got some tail ends of things being delivered. Kano have been great to engage with and work with on this, and primarily from the broader delivery that we've got across the whole program and the work that we've done, they were happy with us having work that was 100% committed, like those contracts are signed and delivered. We're not that we could draw down the funding and continue and see out those pieces of work. So we've got that full amount of budget there, but it wasn't just sitting in council, it had already been allocated to work. That's how that works. And then there's just some lovely shots. Well, that's 350,000 cubic gravel at Hawke Road, and just some other shots, and that's the Apatuki or CHP area and all the gravel that's been taken out in different locations.
You got cameras on that gravel? Because I noted in the horizontal planes, gravel goes missing.
Not out there. There's too much gravel out there.
Too far.
I'd want you to come and take it.
I think you're going to sell it.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty more where that came from. But yeah, that's probably just a visual representation, and there's still more coming out, and we hear about it. But so just some final conclusions there. There was an underspend across that Hiratonga Plains Flood Control Scheme, that program of work. That was mainly driven by one project not proceeding, which was the Moranui Golf Course Stop Bank.
Thomas, can I just ask a question on that? Did the breach in the stop bank, has that been remediated anyway?
Yes.
So it's back to where it should have been?
Yep.
Okay.
100%. It's back to the same level that it was. Albeit with that project, we still have designs there, but there were some issues we were working through around designation and land access that meant that it just could not be done within the time frame. But we're still engaging with the golf course there around what that might look like. The rest of the underspend was really driven by nearly all the other design projects and pieces of work being delivered under budget. That was really through the establishment of our procurement processes and tightening up on the market and a change in market effectively across Hawke's Bay, post-cyclone and various other things, which was really good. So in June, prior to the sort of cessation of this program of work, a variation was agreed with Kānoa where that underspent funding was approved to be redirected to the NEWI program as contingency or to offset early design and feasibility costs. And the ability for us to do that is really based on the fact that we've been able to deliver the large majority of the work through the IRG program. So there's confidence in them also understanding the other work that we've got going across the region. And so it's a really great outcome. One thing supports the other, which is pretty fantastic. And just generally from me and Andrew and John as well, this has been a really successful program, albeit with the cyclone in the middle of it, and we've had to pivot and change and reconsider what we're doing and why we're doing it, and make sure we're trying to get real value outputs that can still benefit the region, not just in the work we've delivered, but aligning with your scheme reviews and various other things. That has really been a collaboration across council, across multiple teams. It's not just the IPMO sitting up here saying we've delivered all this. It's engineering and asset management. It's Gravel's Assurance. It's Works Group who have done a lot of work for us. It's GIS who make endless maps for us, and biosecurity finance team around how we engage and go through the payment process with Kānoa. So I think it's really important to highlight that. It involves everyone in the organisation to deliver these types of things. And in the end, we've delivered some really great outputs as far as completed projects on the ground, design-ready projects, and I think it's a positive impact on the region, not just now, but to align with your work in the future.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. Great presentation. Huge successes there. I mean, this is the bread and butter of our organisation. So well done, given the IPMO work we have to complete also. So amazing team. Thank you.
Yeah.
Huge thank you.
Do you want me to move?
A great way to finish off our last meeting. Close to. Yeah. If you would like to move. And having to second. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, I think I said most of it, but just, can't thank the team enough on the success which you've put it all on display, so thank you.
Perfect. Speaking?
Yeah, likewise, I echo that, but also it actually, what you've just presented will put us in good stead going forward as well. We're reimagining our rivers, so I think if ever something happens again, we've got shovel ready, and we've got ideas, we can move, which is really important, because often by our public we're seen as a bit sluggish, but hopefully in this process that won't be the case. So thank you very much for all the work of the whole team.
Yes.
Thank you. All those who agree, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you, team.
For my 6 years, I think it's the first time I've seen it clap.
All your gravel dreams have come true, Will.
His last meeting.
You got it, Will.
Hey, you guys have got it.
Well done. We move on to the
gravel
NEWI Flood Resilience Program update. So hand it over to you again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, you're familiar with the outline of the reporting structure we've got now, so I'll just do a very quick run through status update for you. Look, we talked about Wairoa quite extensively this morning, so I think you've got the full picture about where we are with that, so I won't dwell on that one. I'll keep coming down the state highway and stop at Whirinaki now. We have two contracts in market, the State Highway road raising and also the stop bank works around the Panpac contact transpower sites and the residential stop banks. And they close next week, I think it is, or imminently anyway. So it will be good to see what that is. As is the case, and as I've shared with you this morning, our biggest issue across all projects is land access. Whirinaki is no exception. We have a critical piece of land that we are yet to secure there, and I have chosen to prioritise my time substantially into land access because of the criticality and to be front-facing with as many of these more difficult negotiations as possible to try and progress them. It's not a guarantee, I might say, and my experience is showing that, but it does help because I can make decisions that our property specialists can't. And Nick's fantastic about how quickly he turns around approvals for us, because it is incredible how time consuming it is. Every transaction is different. Every engagement with landowners is different. That has to be respected. and there is frequently a lot of documentation required to just get us through. So I don't think any of us should underestimate what effort's required on the land access front. The next one is Hawke, and man, it's great to have diggers in the ground. I've said to you before and throughout the time that I've been here, I can't wait for diggers to be in the ground. Diggers are in the ground.
Yes.
And it is a great feeling. It's thrown a few curveballs at us, Hawke, I won't pretend, initially, with various things discovered, the interaction with the community, the access to the awa, some ugly ground conditions that we've struck that are giving rise to a few contingencies and variations, but that's just building stuff reality. So we're working through that, but it's just so good to be building things. Parkify is progressing well. Land access, again, is the biggie. The Joan Fernie Charitable Trust is a fundamentally important part of that equation. That is one of my priority engagements as well. That is almost weekly. It's a bit gnarly in places, I won't pretend that, because of what we need to work through with some of the compensation that the property owner is expecting and that is rightfully should be expecting. And there's a whole process of determining the appropriate methodology for some of that. Ohiti tenders closed this week. We got 4, which was a little surprising, but I think just shows where we are in the market at the moment. And I think the 10 contractors that we got are now being quite deliberate about which projects they're pursuing. And that makes a lot of sense too, because the last thing we want is, somebody overloading themselves and they can't meet our program requirements. And we have very specific program requirements, particularly on the state highway roadways and also on the Taihape roadways out of Omahu. And the reason for that is to inconvenience the travelling public as little as possible. There'll be a full 2-way diversion road put in at State Highway 2 outside Panpac, and a single lane diversion road controlled by lights on Taihape Road. The contractors have a 3-month time frame in which to deliver. There will be a reward if they hit it, and there will be a stick if they don't. So that's the way we're approaching it. I think there's a few people are slightly aghast that we've been prepared to reward, but in my view, if you're going to hit somebody over the head with a stick, you also need to give them a carrot to eat if they can achieve that. So that's what we've done.
You need us to make a chocolate cake or something.
What's that?
Chocolate cake.
Oh, well, that's probably not a bad idea as well. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. So look, we hope that will really incentivise them to get in and get out, because we know how frustrating it is for the travelling public to be inconvenienced for months with work sites that see very little work and take forever. But the other thing is that NZTA has said that we can't seal beyond the 31st of March without special dispensation, and don't hold your breath for it. And nobody wants that work site to be left open over the winter. So that's why we've done that. I'm popping now to the levels of service, and look, Thomas covered some of those in the presentation. Omahu above the Fernhill Bridge is advancing well. Omahu below the Fernhill Bridge on the true left bank is progressing. Lower Brookfields, between the Brookfields Bridge looking at Neil and Ravensdown Fertiliser is progressing, and the integration there with the upgrade of the pump station there. We still haven't signed that contract, but we are imminently about to do so. We've got price agreed, we've got scope agreed, we've got 65 tags resolved, we're about to sign.
Yay.
It then goes into a design build phase and will probably take 15 to 18 months from that go to design to when you can turn the pump on. They are large, they are complicated, they aren't done quickly. Final one's Paronga How. Paronga How goes to market hopefully the week after next. It will go to market with full design completed, and we wait with a little bit of bated breath given where it's geographically located, because it won't be everybody's cup of tea to be down there. And so we just need to see what we get, but we know that there are a couple of contractors on our list who have strong affiliations with that community, and hope that they will both put their best foot forward. So, councillors, that is the update for you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions on the Niue? Thank you, Councillor Curtin.
Andrew, just in regard to the Aotearoa zone, there's still this, I think, an outstanding meeting that could be helpful in terms of, now that you've sort of essentially concluded the pump station component, have we developed, if you like, an overall plan for the stop bank upgrade, the drainage upgrade, and the in-stream adjustments there. Is that something in your area? Is that outside Niue?
Part is and part isn't. Part's probably sitting over with John about some of that internal drainage side of it, but we are still working through the design parts of the stop bank upgrade, so can't be explicit about what raises or levels or the like will be yet. We want to work on that as quickly as we can, because without it, we can't go to market, we can't get accurate costings and the like. So that is as much a priority for us, I can assure you, as it is for that group out there who I know are equally interested. I believe we can clarify the detail now around the pump station, and I've been working closely with Chris as JP, the PM, about some of the specifications that are embedded in that upgrade in terms of heights above flood levels and the like, and we're just finalising some schematics that show that.
Great. I'd really appreciate a briefing at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through you, Madam Chair, if I could just add to what Andrew said, we're well aware of the need to upgrade culverts in the drainage scheme upstream of the pump station at Awatoto, and my team's busy scoping that up at the moment. It will need to be funded work, so expect to see that come through the annual plan, long-term plan.
Great. Any further questions for the team? There are none. Well done. Thank you very, very much. Great paper. So, well, can we have a mover? Thank you. A mover and seconder, Councillor Roadley. Would you like to say a few words?
All the things have been said.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All those who agree, say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Well done, team. Look, we do have minor items on our agenda, and I guess we have options, given that we're having an 8th of October meeting, on whether the ones who are leaving want to say a few words now or on the 8th. Up to you, couple.
I'm quite happy to wait till the 8th. It's been a long day.
Keep it for the 8th, yeah, okay, and that's when Councillor Lambert will be back as well. He'll be there on the 8th.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. That ends our meeting, team. Well done, everyone. Another long day. But we do have the 8th to go. How far? Awesome. Who would like to lead us in a closing prayer? Councillor Harding, would you like to lead us? Kia ora.
Let's go. Kia tau, everybody knows it. Kia tau, ngā manaakitanga,
Te mea ngaro, ki runga, ki tēnā o tātou. Kia hi, te hua mā kihikihi, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te reo Māori, kia tūturu, ka whakamaua, kia tīna, hui e, tai ki e. Thank you, everyone. Please stick around if you can.